Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Tony King. I'm a photographer, and in this video we are going to be doing another monthly review. I'm going to be going over 7 images that I took in the month of March, looking to track my growth, see what I like, what I don't like. Perhaps I posted 9 photo albums, which means I went out 9 times to take pictures in the month of March, which is just over 2 times a week, 0.001 or something, whatever. Do the math yourself because I'm clearly not going to do it. That is just about kind of what in my head I would love to do, but my minimum is to go out 4 times a month to myself, and so doing 9 is very good for me. This very first image I really like. It is incredibly technically flawed. We have a bunch of spots on the right hand side and almost in the center of the image, like right off the barbed wire, you can see, which I can remove in Photoshop, and I did for other purposes, like I shared it on my website, but this is what I ended up posting the first time. Sometimes I need to go ahead and do some deeper editing to my images before I post them the first time. This is such a interesting image to me, which I just kind of saw. So I'd gone out to take some aerial photography. I guess it's called aerial photography of planes at a little at a little airport nearby, and you know they got barbed wire. They don't want you jumping up in there, and you know I saw this perfect line all the way across the sky of how they're obviously making clouds with the planes. As you can see, all the clouds around it, obviously. No, as you can see, the trail of a flight that had just gone by across, and I'd never seen, not never, but it's not often that you see it such a perfect line across. And then I used the barbed wire to kind of frame it. It kind of gives this sense of like I'm in jail almost, and like that is my way out. That is like people have freedom out there. They're flying over us or whatever it is. And just the color value on this blue is just so nice. Like it's not too saturated, but it's not vibrant. It's such a nice blue that it just my camera happened to take, because usually it comes out a bit more blue than that. I'm not actually sure how that ended up happening. I wish it happened more sometimes, but the barbed wire is not in focus perfectly, but obviously you can tell it's barbed wire. But I like that because the clouds are in such nice focus, and so is the line across. So I was very, very happy with this composition. Got to clean my lenses a little bit more before I use them sometimes. There's definitely a story here. There's definitely a feeling. This was a very strong image to me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up is an image that I captured while shooting a video. Can't remember what the video is called, but posted it a long time ago. And this is of a little cat scratcher for my cat during, I don't know if you'd call this golden hour, but the sun's coming down, so we have all these nice rays of light coming in through the blinds, which creates so many leading lines for the shadows, and then also in the background kind of this like 90-degree angle from the ground up, which is usually how floors and walls connect, right? This image kind of gives a feeling of something left behind. She destroyed the ball that's at the edge of the cat scratcher, so you can just see a little bit of fluff left there. It's kind of hanging there, and then you can see a little bit of the scratches on the actual tower. So there's this kind of feeling of like this has been used. This is like a home, but also kind of a feeling of left behind. Like, do people still live here? Is this what's going on here? And you know what? It has kind of been abandoned. She doesn't really use it anymore because she liked the ball on it and she got rid of it. That's on you, Bootsy. Nice color values. The green and the yellow little spurts of color that you see are nice to me. And like I've said before, just because you took the picture at home doesn't mean it's not valuable. Same day. Obviously, this one is literally of my cat, and I've said it before, I like to look for natural windows. This one is a lot more obvious than a lot of the other ones. And that's because we literally have a border that goes almost around the entire frame. But I like how she's very backlit, so very white background, but you can see all the frilly bits of kind of her cat tree that she likes to lay on, sit on, do whatever on. And she's just kind of looking up at probably nothing, but her eyes in focus. So it's a nice like side profile image, really nice focus and great framing for my personal taste of like this window where she's kind of centered on. This, in terms of a technical, like what am I trying to achieve, is a pretty solid example. Next up is this image of my blind. So I guess I took a lot of pictures at home this month. This image is very like cyberpunk sci-fi fascinating to me. Like this one also reminds me of an image from Blade Runner 2049. I've said that about images in the past. there's like, you know, kind of a darker side on the left with short, like thin white lines. And then it gets white with like kind of black lines that don't go all the way down the image, but kind of this very interesting layer. And it almost feels like the screen on the left, like the screen door part of the outside door is in focus, but then the edge of the blinds in focus. Is like, how are those two things both in focus? Doesn't fully make logical sense if you really deep it, but there's a lot of character to this image, of weird like architecture to like how the lines are being formed. And I was very happy with this kind of abstract composition. Very happy with how this image turned out. Next up to a little wildlife shot. Again, I'll say it again. Water, sometimes I struggle with because I don't like it when there's a bunch of lines. So I like to get it when light's really hitting the water in a bright way so that the lines are gone and you actually kind of see the water. And that's, you know, the water looks really nice and smooth in this image, which is a big pro in my personal taste. This is not my most favorite image of all time. Like, I think there's a story here of these kind of geese going towards this turtle, which is sitting on this log sticking out. It's kind of like, I'm the king of the world. And they're like, hey, we're also here. I don't know, something like that. It's a decent image. Like, I do honestly wish I had something better, in my opinion, to put here, but I'm happy with the focus. I'm happy with the light quality, and the color quality is good enough for me. Kind of subtle vibrance is how I would describe the color of this image. Overall, it's decent. I could do better. A few days after that, I went back out with my old telephoto lens. If you stayed up to date with my channel, you know I had this really cheap vintage telephoto 200mm, and it sucked. I got this image off of it. I still think it kind of sucks, but not the image sucks, the lens sucks. But recently I got a 500mm lens and it's a lot better. To this image, I followed this heron for about 2.5 hours when I was only planning to be out for maybe like a 40-minute walk. Hey, he was like, you're taking pictures, I'm gonna stay close to you so you can take cool pictures of me. I got sunburned and that part sucked, but I got a lot of nice pictures, and this is one of them, which I think is nice because of how kind of harsh the light is hitting the bird, but obviously it just caught a big fish, and it's like, wow, that fish is like too big for it to eat, but it did eat it. It's just like, I don't need perfect sharpness. I've said it 100 times, but this is just like off to the degree that it just bothers me in a way, and like the kind of feels grainy. I don't know. And then in the background, that stick coming out of the water and then reflecting that back down on the water is kind of distracting from kind of the purity of like just getting this bird capturing, you know, catching a fish. That makes it a little bit messy, but still, I think it's like an impressive moment to see in nature. So I'm happy I captured the image and it's worth sharing. Maybe I'm being too harsh and critical on the quality of the image. There's definitely some ways that it could be improved. Maybe if I was like 4 feet to the left shooting at it, you know, you can still get a pretty comparable like look at the bird without that stick cutting across its face. So that's what I'll say about that. And the last image I want to talk about is a macro shot, another lens that I was kind of critical of on my channel in the past, but there were all these little cherry blossoms. I think that's what they are. Nobody's corrected me on that, so I'm going to assume that I'm right about that, or that I don't really have a lot of viewers, or that I don't have a lot of viewers that know anything about plants. So these are little cherry blossoms that I got a macro lens on a very bright sunny day. There are other images I perhaps could have chosen, but I like how there's 2 main ones here, and it's kind of like they're brother sister or father son or mother daughter, whatever. There's like kind of a familial relation between these two, kind of one guiding the other in a way. The one above kind of guiding the other one towards the light. Like the light is really hitting it a lot harder, and like that's what plants want, right? So that's the kind of feel that it gave to me, outside of being kind of an impressive like geometry of nature with all these, you know, little things coming out of the plant. I used to know all the names when I took freaking science classes every day, but that is so long ago these days. Like, I'm getting older and I'm getting dumber, but very, very pretty, you know, flowers that have yet to kind of fully develop. Maybe this is a later stage of their development. I don't know, because they don't have the petals. So maybe all the petals fell off, or the petals have yet to grow. Somebody who knows something about it, let me know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, you know, it's not even biology, it's herbology, maybe. I don't know why I'm talking about plants here when this is a photography channel, but I really like kind of the story that's being told, like I said, of kind of the plant above leading the other flower beneath it. And the technical quality is nice, pretty sharp focus, good colors with the pink, the greens, the kind of yellowish, glowy effect that you can see at the top with the light coming in. And it kind of feels like you're inside of an ecosystem, inside of an environment. That's what I was going for. That's what I was hoping for when I brought out my macro lens for that photo walk. Very happy with this image. I'll go ahead and show some honorable mentions as I close out the video. Let me know what you thought of these images. Where do you think I can improve, and where did I do well on this month? Stay tuned for more monthly reviews, but also more of my current and up-to-date work and other videos that I'm making. I talk about different ideas in photography, why you should print your photos, why I think quantity is very important, and all sort of things. Subscribe to my channel. Hopefully there's something you like on it about photography. I think probably is at some point. And if not, just subscribe to make me feel better about that. And with that, I've been Tony King. I'll see you next time.